Hi, my name is Jimmy Williams with NFL Draft Diamonds. And I have a diamond in the rough for you guys to meet today. His name is Trey Thomas. He's a linebacker out of Idaho. Nice to have you, buddy.
Hey, nice to meet you.
So, a very interesting prospect in this year's draft. I mean, most people know you as a linebacker, which you may end up switching positions to safety as you progress to the next level. Of course, prior to your time at Idaho, you were at South Dakota, and so you've really established yourself, there, as a player, within both organizations. So. But before we get talking about more of everything else, of course, why don't you kind of take us back to the beginning? Tell us where you're from and introduce yourself.
I'm from Burnsville, Minnesota. I grew up playing football, basketball. I ran track, and I also competed in gymnastics. Yeah, yeah. Not people
Gymnastics,
know that about
that's a
me. Yeah,
new
I did
one. I don't
gymnastics.
get that one too often.
Yeah, no, it was fun. I started at age 8 and I stopped at age 16. It just became a lot because I was going from football practice to gymnastics practice, and the same thing in basketball season. I was going from basketball practice to gymnastics practice, and it just, it became a lot as I got older. But yeah, I have one younger brother and one older brother. My mom and dad grew up with all boys, so it was fun. We're really competitive, and it kind of helped me kind of helped me along the way.
And where do you fit in that list of
I'm in
boys?
the middle.
You're the middle. Well, you and I, we're the
Yeah.
same in that regard. So I definitely feel you there. So again, from Burnsville, Minnesota, attended Burnsville High School there. So, and like you said, participated in several sports growing up, but obviously it was football where you ended up getting your most success and, of course, put forth most of your time and energy. So, I got to ask, what is it about football that you love the most?
I just loved how competitive it was. I'm not saying the other sports weren't competitive, but football just brings a whole level of intensity out of it. Like the contact is fine. Like, you got guys out there talking stuff. Like it's exciting to me. It's the thrill that I've always loved it since I was a kid. And I stopped. Let's see, I started fifth grade year and I stopped my sixth grade year just to focus on, gymnastics because it was a lot. And then, when I missed that year, I was just mad. I missed the sport, and I was young, and I really loved it at a young age, and I really missed it. So I came back my seventh grade year and ran with it ever since.
Gotcha. Trey, I will say I'm very interested as a gymnastics guy.
Yeah,
So I want to ask a couple quick questions because to me this is new. It's
go
brand
ahead.
new. So I didn't because I didn't know.
Yeah,
Um, when you say gymnastics, what does that mean? Because there's so many different facets within gymnastics. I mean, are you you know on the vault thing? Like, are you tumbling? I have no idea what you're doing. But talk a little bit about
yeah, no. So I agree. There's a lot of different aspects of it. There's the tumbling team, but I did all 6 events. So I did floor, vault, high bar, pommel horse, rings, and what did I miss? Yeah, that was it. Yeah, that
you
was it.
could have said anything and I
Yeah,
probably would have agreed because I mean I know
yeah,
a little bit of it, but I mean of course never really dived too much into it myself. But and you said you're very serious in that for quite some time, and but
yeah,
obviously football was really what you loved, and like
yeah,
you said, there's just something about the game because it's a different attitude and approach. Let's be real, because there's a whole lot of things going on in the game. There's a lot of other teammates, and when you're out there as a gymnast, dude, it's just you. All you got to do is
mhm,
focus on either your routine, obviously your balance, and making sure that you're, uh, you know, gra- grasping whatever you have to in order so that you don't fall and hurt yourself. But
yeah.
yeah, a whole lot more, on the line in the game of football because people are counting on you to be the 111th out there on the field. So, and there is a different level of intensity because people are colliding out there, and you're amongst them. So,
Yeah.
um, cool. So, talk a little bit about, you coming out of Burnsville High School, and ultimately, at least your first go around with university, that being at South Dakota. Talk about your recruiting and how you got there.
Yeah. So I got my first offer from Bemidji State from Coach Rob Orch. Great dude. And when the first conversation that we had, it was great. Like he was a real funny guy, and he was serious about the game of football, and he just kind of stood out to me out of all the coaches that I've talked to after the South Dakota State camp that I went to. This is my sophomore year, and so we just stayed in contact. And he was like, "Dude, I know you don't want to go Division II, but he was like, just let's just stay in contact," and we did. And then I started getting more looks at Division I schools, Iowa, Minnesota for a little bit from Tracy Claeys, not the Fleck era, but around the Tracy Claeys eras. And then UNI got offered from UNI, but then South Dakota came out of nowhere, and it turns out that Bemidji guy, Coach Rob Orich, he ended up transferring to South Dakota. And then he calls me and he said, do you want to play for the Coyotes? It's like, yeah, why not? I loved the school when I took a visit, and I committed on site. And Coach Orich, once again, he was just a great dude. He was a great dude, and I knew he was going to be my coach, so I decided to go there with him.
Well, kind of nice that you were able to link up with him,
Yeah,
there at South Dakota. You know, it, just to be fair, Bemidji really not a bad school at the D2
no,
level, but of course, if you can play D1, you go D1. And
yeah,
so you have this opportunity to maintain a relationship with a coach because he's, moving up himself, and then, you're able to go to South Dakota where um, things are very competitive there, at South Dakota, playing up against really perhaps some of the best talent in all of college football, if we're being real. And I'm saying that because people discredit the FCS all the time, but within the FCS, if you're playing in the Missouri Valley, you are button heads with some of the best. So,
for sure.
talk a little bit about your time there at South Dakota before we move on to your time at Idaho. Maybe perhaps, I don't know, some of your overall experience, and even some teammates that really influenced you along the way.
I loved it at South Dakota. It was I met some of my best friends there. Vermilion, there's not much to do, but but really hang out with your friends. There's about 12,000 people there. But it was a really good town, and the community loved the football team, so everyone was always out to support. Just a couple of my teammates that I kind of came in with was Brock Mogensen. He was from Farmington, Minnesota, and I actually played him in high school, and I met him at some captains meeting at his school because all the kids from Minnesota, like all the captains in our region, we kind of just we met up at Farmington, and that's when I met Brock, and we just kind of stayed in contact to see what school we are going to end up. And we were surprised that we were going to end up at the same school. So we did. And, he pushed me every day, especially in drills. He's a hard worker, and I've always noticed that. And same thing with Steve Hillis. We kind of talked about him earlier. He's a hard worker for sure. Really stern guy. Loves the game of football.
So, I mean, again, you're amongst a really good crop of linebackers there
Yeah,
at South Dakota. Again, you're talking about Mogensen and Hillis. Those guys really they've done well for themselves in their own right. And I don't know if this whole I don't know process of you transferring on, moving on to Idaho, it was perhaps giving you I don't know, a chance for yourself to shine, if that makes any sense, or if there was some more things along the line. I mean, probably, of course, COVID played into that. You
yeah.
get the extra year to do something. So, how did the whole transfer bit happen?
Really, what it came down to was I needed to show more versatility. And at South Dakota, I didn't necessarily get that aspect of my game like that was displayed. Like I was out most of the time on 12, 13, and 21, like those bigger packages. And I wanted to be at a school that really utilized me and show that I could play in the box and I could play outside the box. And that's what Idaho allowed me to do. Like when I entered the transfer portal, I was talking to all these teams, and Idaho stuck out, and guess who stuck out? It was Coach Rob Orts, who transferred to Idaho to be the DC. To be the
I see
DC.
a trend here.
Yeah, so me and him had a great conversation when I entered the transfer portal, and I committed. Once I talked to him, I had no question. I'm like, he's always looked out for me. When he was at Bemidji, when he went to South Dakota, I know he's gonna have my back when I go to Idaho. And when I got there, I earned my spot right away. And they allowed me to play in the box first and second down and third down. I was out the box playing man-to-man coverage, or I was playing the Sam nickel linebacker. So they allowed me to show the versatility that I really needed to showcase in my game.
Yeah, I mean, really, give you an opportunity to be out there and be a
Yeah,
playmaker, getting a whole
yeah,
lot more tackles. I mean, at least when you look at the statistics, you're getting like twice as many tackles now because you're out there on a whole lot of, more plays.
mhm.
I guess the question now is, where's your coach going to end up in the pros? Because I mean, we want to know where you're going to end up. But I'm just curious
Hey,
to
you
see.
never know.
Yeah, you never know, man. I mean, maybe in like a few years, I mean, he'll be on like I don't know, Minnesota Vikings staff or something, and he'll just be like,
Yeah.
"Hey, you want to come?" And then that would just be
Why
funny.
not?
Let's just leave that one alone. But
Why not?
yeah, I mean, certainly your journey throughout college really was a decent one. I mean, and you kind of follow the coach. Let's be real, but I mean, there's nothing wrong with that because I mean, it puts you in a good position to succeed.
Yeah.
And really, like you said, kind of, I don't know, branch out a little bit and really develop into very versatile player that can do a whole lot of different things. You kind of touched on it briefly, but describe a little bit about the difference overall in the defenses that you've been a part of.
Honestly, Idaho and South Dakota, the defense they were kind of similar. Like that's kind of how I was able to grasp the defense so fast. Like we ran a quarters based defense at Idaho. We ran quarters and we ran a lot of cover one. The biggest difference I would say is that South Dakota we ran more cover two instead of cover one. But they're pretty similar. Like they were both kind of quarters based defense.
Right. And how I had kind of introduced you there at the beginning is a guy who obviously has been identified as a linebacker, but maybe perhaps as you transition to the pros, you might end up with an S, not for Superman, but for safety. Because you're probably going to be a safety more or less given your size, just being fair in that regard. I mean, we're looking at a guy who's about 6 foot, 215 pounds. So we're looking at like that nickel linebacker slash safety kind of guy that can really be moved around a lot. Let's just be real. So, um, do you think that kind of gives you an edge a little bit over some other people? I mean, it is sort of a very unique skill set, I would say, as an overall player. Talk about you as an athlete.
I feel like I could play anywhere on the field. Like I'm super comfortable in space. I'm super comfortable in the box. Like wherever the coaches want to put me, I feel like I can display, you know, uh, sorry. I can display that I can show the versatility and I could show that I could do it at a high level. And, you know, I truly feel like I haven't scratched the surface. I've told you this earlier, and I'm getting better each and every year. And when I train, I usually train as a DB. And when I've gone back to school, I've trained a linebacker just so I can kind of get a grasp of both things. And that kind of helped me with my versatility along the way.
And whatever defense that you're going to be put in, I mean, you could come in as a nickel linebacker or in as a strong safety or somewhere in between, of course. I mean, whether you're staying in the box, dropping back in coverage, but certainly that does kind of set you apart from some other people. I think more often than not, like when we say the linebacker designation, we think about a guy who's 6'1", 230 pounds, something along
Right.
those lines, which we're not necessarily getting, but I mean, I'm not trying to, we really can't even put you in a box if we're being real. You are the kind of guy who's going to be utilized all over the field.
Mm.
And so we'll see what happens as you know, kind of get into these conversations with people, at the professional level and figure out what's going to happen. But for now, dude, I want to kind of go back and recap some of your experience, some of your highlights and such. So, when you kind of look back on your time, let's go back to South Dakota. Walk me through one of your best games that you were a part of then, and then let's kind of shift gears and look to last season as well.
The craziest game that I was a part of was against South Dakota State.
Of course.
Yeah, I mean, you have to say that. They won play of the year because of that play. And we we were all just blown at the end of the game. Like that really just happened. But the whole defense believed. We believed the whole game, even though we had 1 second on the clock. We all was like, you never know what could happen. It's college football. Anything could happen. And when he caught that ball, everyone like started bawling. The whole crowd was going crazy. And it was amazing because all the South Dakota State fans, they were all just like kind of like booing us, like the game's over and everything. And then as soon as that clock hit 0, we were the ones laughing. Like it was a great game. It was a great game to be a part of.
Kind of crazy to be the bad guy at times, but you have to embrace it. You know,
Yeah,
you
you have to
definitely
embrace it
feel
for
you.
sure.
Again, I had an opportunity to have a lot of great, plays for Idaho as well this past season. Talk me through maybe like your best game or moment there.
I would say my best game would have to be against U Albany in the playoffs. I, you know, I showed that I could really be around the ball 24/7, and I was all over the field. And the outcome wasn't what we wanted, but I truly believe that was probably my best game.
Basically, what you're trying to say is you left it all out on the field,
Yeah,
which is really all you can ask for.
yeah, that's all you could do.
So you go out there, you obviously give it 100%, and sometimes the outcome isn't exactly what you want, but at least you put it all out there.
Yeah,
And that's,
wasn't ready to be done, but
I mean, it kind of hurts to have your last college game go that way,
yeah,
but dude, I get it. But you do have some things to look forward to. You've had pretty good off season as you prepare for to be a guy at the professional level here very soon. So, um, where have you been training? Like, what have you been doing?
I've been training at Athletic Gains in Minnesota with Coach Kevin Brown, and we were training from Monday through Saturday, and I'm happy that it's done. I'm happy that the pro day training's done.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
Yeah.
What were you I don't know, what were you trying to get better at, I guess is really the question. I mean, obviously you're training for, all of these drills that you're going to be doing, like your 40, your vert and, your 3 cone and stuff. But was there any particular part about your game that you were trying to really focus on as you're training or what?
I wanted to sharpen up on my DB skills, just to showcase the teams that I could truly play safety and ball tracking. That's really what we worked on, is tracking the ball, showing that I can catch with confidence, showing that I can make plays, and just sharpening on all my hip turns to make sure they see that I have fluent hips and I can cover these guys with ease. Like that I'm going to be comfortable.
Yeah, I mean, and overall, I think you'd had a solid pro day. For people that don't know, look at the RAS scores or whatever. I mean, did a pretty darn good job. Whether you want to put the linebacker title or the safety title on him, obviously did very, very well. Um, the 40 that I have, I know you're probably going to be disappointed in that because everybody is. 4.58 is what I was able to pull up for you.
Mm.
Um, but a 39-inch vertical in an 11.8 broad jump, which to me is unbelievable. Which you told me before we got on here that you do have video of that somewhere, which is great. Let's pump that. And then rounded things out with 16 reps on the bench. Probably wanted a few more, but hey, it is what it is. I mean, when you
Hey,
look at a guy who maybe is going to be a safety at the next level, that's really all you can ask for. Those are some solid numbers that even some guys that were at the, NFL Combine didn't do at the safety position. So what did you feel about your pro day overall?
I was happy. You know, I did all that training and I was happy with the result that I've gotten. You know, you can't really ask for anything else.
Well, hey, and when you get those numbers, I think they're solid. I mean,
Yeah.
we could sit here and complain about like some
Yeah.
of those numbers or whatever, but hey, it's
Hey,
like you said, it's behind you.
it's
You can
behind you.
focus on the football stuff because all of that testing and whatever that stuff is done out the door. So,
Yeah, I'm just controlling what I can control. Keep my head down and work.
no, I get it. Trey, I do want to take a brief moment to meet you outside of football. We've talked a little bit about you and your football journey. Is there anything else about you that you want to share? Likes, dislikes, hobbies, special talents, anything that you're interested in that you think others might find interesting?
Well, I guess the interesting was that I, competed in gymnastics and in gymnastics. One of the main reasons too why I kind of quit is because that, as I got older, I got a little bit taller, and most gymnasts are usually pretty short. So when I would compete in certain things, like high bar, for instance, I would have to bend my knees, and you get a deduction when your knees bend. So I would have to bend my knees to fully like get over the bar and everything. So it just kind of got tough for me. So I, decided to stick with football and try and run track.
Kind of funny to say a 6 foot tall guy is too tall.
Yeah, no, right?
Yeah, no,
It's
I hear
the
you.
only sport you can say that in.
Got you. Any other, I don't know, hobbies or anything that you, want to talk about? I mean, favorite movie?
Favorite movie. Okay, I wouldn't consider this my favorite, but it's up there. It's Interstellar, a Christopher Nolan film.
Mhm.
It's a film I genuinely love. Like I rewatched it about a week ago, and it was great. I could watch it over and over again.
So, what do you think was so good about it? Like the story, the photography, the actors. Like, what would you like the most about it, or is it just Christopher Nolan?
Christopher Nolan just has great films in general, but the story was great. You know, it
Cool,
was really
cool.
so.
Again, from Burnsville, Minnesota, which I am not as familiar with. Talk about your hometown. What makes your hometown unique, special? What do you miss the most?
I'm here right now, so
Well, so you don't miss it. But
no,
talk to me about your hometown.
yeah, yeah. So, it's another town that just loves football. Like when I was in high school, everyone came out to support the football team. Like everyone, it's a loving community. It really is, and I can't really say anything bad about it. And I'm here right now, and I still genuinely love it.
So
I'm only
growing,
15 minutes away from my training facility too, so it's kind of like in the
hey,
middle of everything.
that works. So growing
Yeah.
up in Minnesota, like, are you at a, for default, like, are you a Viking? Were you a Vikings fan growing up? Well, like, was that kind of like the thing, or were you, counterculture in that regard?
My friends hate me for saying this, but I was an Eagles fan growing up.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think I hate you too.
Yeah. So how that works is I was originally a Falcons fan because my favorite player is Michael Vick, and
That's
he
fair.
was the yeah, so he was the reason why I wanted to play running back just because of the way he ran the ball as a quarterback. And I generally loved him. And when he switched to the Eagles, I was like, oh, this is my team because that team was loaded when they had Deshaun Jackson, Asante Samuel at corner, Jeremy Maclin, LaShawn McCoy. Like the team was loaded, and I just kind of stuck with them. Like I watched them every single year. So
Yeah, I
it's
mean, hey, I get it. Obviously,
yeah.
great roster at that
Oh yeah,
time. Um, Obviously, I didn't like it, but that's just the way it was. But you know how it goes.
yeah.
Anyway, uh, are you are you a fan of anybody in the NFL that plays your position, whether it be a safety or a linebacker? I mean, is there a particular guy at the next level that you study?
One actually, there's a couple. I always watch Duran James, and I've always watched Josh Metellus. Josh Metellus, he's one of those utility guys who's all over the field. He can come down and play in the box. He can play the deep third. He can cover easily. Like he's a great guy. And I love watching him and Darren James. Darren James is like the bigger safety too, around about 216
Yeah,
pounds,
he's huge.
and he comes downhill.
You don't have to say
Yeah,
anything else
yeah,
about him.
yeah,
He's an animal. He's
yeah,
going to come down and destroy people. That's just
for
kind of what
sure.
you have to expect
Yeah,
about him. But I know we haven't talked about it too much, man. But I think that what you're really going to do when you get to the next level is cut your teeth as a special teamer.
yeah.
And so, kind of want to get your take on that. Maybe how you prepare for it and your overall mentality. Talk about it for a little bit.
I'm 100% okay with that. Like, I just love football. Whatever the coach wants me to do, that I will do. I just want to be on a team and showcase that, whatever you guys need, I'll be that guy to do it.
Gotcha. I mean, I truly think that you would be a phenomenal, guy on special teams as a guy who can run down and make plays for sure. Trey, it's been good. It's been fun kind of, learning more about you and sharing your story, but we do need to wrap up our time. Want you to have a final word and tell these guys, what would make you a great addition to their team. So if they brought you in, go ahead and give them your pitch and close us out.
I'm a hard worker. I mean, can't say much else about that, but I work hard. I'm a versatile guy, and I'm easy to get along with. I'll do whatever it takes for the team, and no matter what, I'm going to maximize every opportunity that I get.
Gotcha. Can't ask for too much else. I definitely hear you there. Well, Trey, want to wish you all the best. I know you're training each and every day, trying to get your body right as to whatever opportunity you have in front of you. Again, want to wish you all the best, good luck, and all of that stuff. Okay.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it.
All right, no, sure, man. Once again, I got with me Trey Thomas. He is let's call him an athlete. He's an athlete out of Idaho. Check him out.
Yes, sir.